In this video, we're going to have some more practice rearranging equations using the SUVAT equations from the forces unit. So the second equation that we are going to work with is v squared minus u squared plus 2as, where v is the final velocity, u is the initial velocity, a is the acceleration, and s is the displacement or the distance. Okay? And you might be asked to find the acceleration using this equation. So to do that, we must first get a on its own. So to rearrange that, we have to get rid of the things that we don't want. So as in the previous video, what we need to do is we need to get rid of the u squared first. Okay? And so the easiest thing to do is take this over to the left of the equation, and if we change sides, we change sign. So we have v squared minus u squared, leaving us 2as on this side. Okay, so that's the first thing that we do. Next, we have to get rid of the other things that we don't want on this side. If I want a on its own, I have to get rid of both 2 and the s. Okay, now I can do two divisions separately, but a quicker way to do that is to get rid of both of these at the same time. Now remember, these are all multiplied together. 2as actually means 2 times a times s. So what I can actually do is kill two birds with one stone. I can divide by 2s, and whatever I do on one side, I do to the other side. So we divide everything over to the left by 2s. And here we have 2's on the top and the bottom, they cancel out. The s's also cancel out, which leaves a. So if I rewrite the equation with a as the subject, a is equal to v squared minus u squared divided by 2s. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Now you can have a go and rearrange the equation, and this time try to find what s is. Try to get s on its own instead of a using this method. So have a go yourself and see what you get. Okay, so I hope you had a go at trying to do that yourself. So let's try and do this together and see whether you've got the right answer or not. So we're trying to get s on its own. So the first thing to do is get rid of the things that we don't want. So we need to get rid of u squared. That's the easiest thing to do first. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is do v squared minus u squared equals 2as. And if the question is asking for the displacement, but what is the displacement, then we can get displacement on its own by dividing by 2a. Those are the things that we don't want, and whatever we do on one side, we do to the other. Okay, so the 2's cancel out, the a's cancel out, that leaves s. So if we rewrite the equation with s as the subject, s equals v squared minus u squared over 2a. So hopefully you got that right. If not, go back to your workings out and see where you went wrong. The importance of showing all your workings out is it shows very clearly, step by step, what you've done, so you can see where you went wrong. And it's important to show your workings out, because if you do make a mistake somewhere along the line, but you got every other step correct, then you might just lose 1 mark out of, say, 4 or 5 marks, rather than losing a 4 or 5 marks in a question if you didn't show your working out and you got the wrong answer. Now, just as a further example, if the question has given you the value for the final velocity, the acceleration, and the displacement, and it would like you to work out what the initial velocity is, we can still do this quite simply by rearranging the equation. Okay? So if we're trying to find what u squared is, we need to get rid of the things that we don't want. So we're not interested in these. We're trying to get u on its own. So we take this over to this side. And remember, if we change sides, we change the sign. At the moment, it's a positive. So when we take it over to the left, it becomes negative. So we have b squared minus 2as, which is equal to u squared. Okay? And this isn't the final answer, because at the moment you can see that it's u squared. Okay? And what we're interested in is u. So to get rid of the u squared, we need to square root everything. Okay? So if we square root u squared, so I've switched this over to the left hand side because I just want to make this the subject, so that's why I'm writing it on this side, and I've got v squared minus 2as, and whatever I do on one side I do on the other. So I've square rooted on the left, so I need to also square root on the right. Okay, the square root and the squared, they cancel out, so all that we're left with is u is equal to the square root of v squared minus 2as. Okay, so the important step here that many people will forget is doing the square root. Okay, now obviously when you're actually doing the question, you put the values into the equation first and then you square root it. Okay, but I'm just showing you that you can rearrange the equation in the same way that we've done. The important thing is, if we are looking for either v squared or u squared, we must remember to square root our answer to get the final answer. Okay, I hope that's clear. Get some practice, and you can always come back to this video if you need a reference.